It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, welcome to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. We're here at a new location in Laurel Mall, so it's a temporary setup for us on our set. But however, we still are bringing some very important, valuable information to you. This year is going to be, as always, an interesting year in politics. We have a gubernatorial race that is extremely important for all of us. And former Congressman Lou Barletta joins me today to discuss what he'd like to do in the state of Pennsylvania if he's elected governor. Well, Lou, thanks for coming on the show again.
Sam, good to be here.
You know, I was talking to you before the show. A lot of people don't really get a chance to talk to the candidates other than if they go to fundraisers or whatever. And sometimes they like to ask questions as to what direction, because unfortunately, politicians affect our lives. They affect what we do with our lives, okay? But before I get to that, you've been pretty interested in knowing what's going on with these ghost flights, okay? You enlightened me on some of the things. Let's talk about what are these ghost flights and why are you so concerned?
Sure, Sam. I was tipped off by someone who told me that the Biden administration had these secret flights that were bringing people from the southern border into Wilkes-Barre-Scranton Airport. And lo and behold, we got proof, and I exposed the administration for these night flights, which they're calling ghost flights, without anyone knowing about it, without any information about the people who are on it, where they are going. And we found out that there have been multiple flights, one on December 11th at night, one on December 17th, two on Christmas night, and then again on New Year's night. They come again late. People get on buses, they have buses waiting for them, and they are taking them somewhere. The questions that I asked Governor Wolf and Attorney General Shapiro is, did you know about this? Why are we bringing people from the southern border to Pennsylvania? Where are they going? Are they staying? Have they been vaccinated? Have they been tested for COVID? Have they done background investigations on it? We know for a fact that gangs like MS-13 are using the border and infiltrating our country in the states. The drug dealers are bringing fentanyl into our states. We have a record number of deaths, overdoses on fentanyl. And shouldn't these communities and schools know about it? Shouldn't we know that they're doing this? The governor ignored me at first, and then eventually, instead of answering those questions, he lashed out at me, saying that I should know better, don't ask me, ask the federal government. Well, you know, the governor's responsibility and the attorney general's responsibility is to keep us safe. I think we have a right to know, the people have a right to know if they are bringing these folks here and answer the questions. They then went on to say that these are minors who were at the border, who are being reunited with either their sponsor or their parents. We have witnesses who have seen that they are not all children, that they are adults as well. But my question to that is, have they shown proof of all vaccinations? Pennsylvania law requires our children and our grandchildren to have proof that they've been vaccinated for polio, hepatitis, measles, mumps, chickenpox. And are we bringing children from the border, from other countries, and putting them into our schools without these vaccinations? I think every parent would want to know that. And, you know, again, we're not getting any of those answers. And just last night, Sam, I was tipped off again that another flight was coming. After they went to Scranton, he then switched the flights to Allentown. We got tipped off last night that another flight was coming in to Harrisburg. A witness followed the bus and found out that it was actually taken to Clearfield County from Harrisburg to a penitentiary, to a detention center, federal immigration detention center. So these are not children, as the governor said. And again, questions, are they being released into the community? Are they staying? What's the status of these folks? And why the secrecy? Why do this at night? Why not be upfront and transparent and let people know? I think it's wrong.
What did Congressman Cartwright have to say?
He had said that that this has been going on for some time, not only here in Pennsylvania, but through other administrations, and these are just unaccompanied children being reunited either with their parents, relatives, or sponsors. Well, again, we have witnesses who say that they are not all children, and last night was proof that, in fact, some of the planes had no children. And they were actually people who were being taken from El Paso. Every flight has come from El Paso, Texas, into Pennsylvania. And last night's flight was adults who were taken to Federal Immigration Detention Center.
Some people feel that, the fact that you're trying to, people are trying to keep these refugees or immigrants coming into the country to deprive them of a decent life. And that, what they're doing is really helping people out. Because you have some church leaders who are saying, we should welcome our hands to immigrants. We should open the doors and bring them in and comfort them. So sometimes they may feel that you're being, not being mean. You don't really want these people coming in into the country.
It's compassion, right?
Yeah.
And I do have compassion. I have compassion for all the immigrants who waited, went through background checks, respected our laws, had medical health screenings, come here for a better life, and now they're being cheated. They're absolutely being cheated by people who want to bypass our laws and just come across the border, creating a crisis at the border during a pandemic when we have seen Americans forced to take a vaccine, many who didn't want it. We've seen our kids forced to wear a mask all day. We've had businesses closed down, some never to open again. And now, because of the Biden crisis at the border, now it's Pennsylvania's problem somehow, that these folks need to come back into our community. We have a path to come to America. We have a way. We're the most compassionate country on earth. But because someone chooses to bypass our own laws and come into and create a crisis for us, I don't think that's compassion. I think that's not having compassion to American citizens who want to make sure their children are safe. Our children shouldn't be in schools wondering if we're bringing people from other countries who, haven't been vaccinated the way our children are. Or, for example, in Florida, they were doing this in Florida as well. And one man who claimed to be 17 years old was really 24 years old and ended up stabbing a Floridian to death after he was just brought to the state of Florida. It's the governor's responsibility to protect us. And I think any organization, in fact, I would propose legislation that would stop any of these organizations, including the bus companies that are transporting them into our communities. I think that's human trafficking, what they're doing, to do this at night without anyone's knowledge, and then put them into our communities is just wrong.
I opened the show and said that sometimes there are many people that, need to ask questions and they're concerned. My God, what we've seen in the last 2 years is just like horrific. You don't know what to do and where to believe, and depression's going through the roof. The governor's responsibility, this is a concern this year. And whomever the governor may be, okay, what do you feel is the most important responsibility for a governor?
Protecting our freedom, Sam, keeping us safe. We have found from the last 2 years with the pandemic how powerful and how important a governor of a state is to protect us from Washington, from many of the things that Joe Biden, and the very far left are now making it part of our lives. We've watched Governor Wolf pick and choose what businesses can open, what businesses had to close. We watched the governor literally steal years of education away from our children, keeping them out of school. When science didn't back up what they were doing, and we don't know the long-term effects to those children who had a year of their education taken away from them. We saw the governor take COVID-positive seniors and put them into nursing homes with COVID when we knew our seniors were our most vulnerable. A governor can protect us from some of those things that most Americans don't agree again. Another example is critical race theory. These very far left liberal ideas and policies are now being taught to our children. And if it wasn't for COVID and at-home learning, many of the parents would never have saw what was being taught to their children. A governor can stop all that. And I think we're seeing, like in states like Florida and Texas and Tennessee, the governor actually can change, protect the people from that. And those economies are thriving again, unlike Pennsylvania, who is watching their population leave, every year. We're watching our population dwindle.
So politics affects our lives, whether we like it or not. And that's why I think it's always been important to make sure you know who the candidate is.
Yeah, Sam, can I just say, not only our lives, we're a little older, and we've enjoyed all the benefits we have of this great country, but it's our children and grandchildren.
Yep.
That's what we worry about. We were very lucky living in the generation that we lived in, but when businesses leave Pennsylvania, what leaves with them? Our children and our grandchildren, and that breaks the hearts of many people because they want to see their grandchildren grow up. And they had to leave because they couldn't find opportunities here. A governor can make all that difference.
Talking to former Congressman Lou Barletta, folks, running for governor in the state of Pennsylvania on the Republican side. It's crazy because we listen to different things about COVID and, what we should do and where we should go and the frustrations we're facing today. When I come back, I'd like to discuss a little bit about that, and we have a lot of health shows on, and we have Lehigh Valley Hospital Network. They come on and talk about different things, why we should get vaccinated, and the importance of it. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. 24/7 SSPTV.com. All of our shows are there, providing as much information. Thank you so much for the response we're getting. Our numbers on the Sam Lesante Show just continue to grow, and we appreciate that very much. Now, my guest today is former Congressman Lou Barletta. As you know, he's running for governor in the state of Pennsylvania. You travel around the state of Pennsylvania. Your poll numbers at one time where you were 21 points ahead. I guess, people knowing of you, okay? So as you're traveling around the state of Pennsylvania, we know here in northeastern Pennsylvania, from North Harrisburg into Scranton, what our concerns are. What are they asking you, Lou? What are they concerned about?
Well, again, after what we've been through for 2 years, most people are concerned on, how I will handle the pandemic and COVID, and would I enforce mandates? Would I enforce mandates and masking? And many people feel that they've been forced, not to make their own decisions. That they have governors making decisions. We have teachers unions making decisions for our children, and people want to know that they're going to have their freedom back. They also want to know what I'll do for the economy. We're blessed here with all this natural gas, and these are great jobs that we can bring. And Pennsylvania is not business friendly, and that's why we're seeing businesses leave and our children leave. So they want to know what I'll do about the economy. What I'll do about protecting our freedoms, and letting people making their own choices, especially our children. I think McAuliffe in Virginia scared the daylights out of folks when he said it's not the parents. Parents don't have a right to know how their children are being taught. Well, newsflash, Yes, they do, and they will here in Pennsylvania. That's exactly who will be making those decisions for their children.
Lou, people are scared. The senior citizens, they're scared. I mean, I talk to them, and they get these conflicting reports. Should we wear the mask? Should we not wear the mask? Should we get the booster? Should we not get the booster? And then you listen to different news organizations, and they have professional people coming on and telling you why you really don't need to have this or why you should. So it's a menagerie.
So exactly, Sam. And again, people ask again, what would I do? If I were the governor, and I would just look to our most vulnerable people, where COVID is really, many people are dying who are elderly or who have other conditions. Let's focus on those folks. Let's zero in making sure they're getting the testing that they need. Donald Trump, many people criticize him. We got 3 vaccines in record time. We can't get tests now. We have senior citizens who, we can't even get tests, go out and try to find one. It's very difficult. We're going to focus on making sure we protect our most vulnerable first.
You can't help but think that what's going on, that'll go on this year, will be a lot of politics, a lot of false information. I was listening to the news last night, and where our Supreme Court justice said there was 100,000 people, whatever, okay? They found out that wasn't 100,000, it was 3,500, okay? And that's a big difference, okay? You find out that, more people who are getting COVID are not dying, thank God, but are, getting to, whether it's a flu, whether it's complications. And I'm not, this is where the information is. Who do you believe?
Well, that's, right now, people are totally confused.
My
One
God.
mask, 2 masks, 3 masks, no mask, cloth mask, not a mask, vaccine, not a vaccine, natural immunity, does it help? People are so confused right now. And, that's why, again, people need to make decisions for themselves based on, I'm vaccinated, Sam, I got a booster, that's my decision. I think I'm smart enough to know how to take care of myself and our families. And again, I think it's not a governor's job to pick and choose what businesses can open and close. And, our nurses and frontline workers during the COVID all went to work when everyone else was locked down. And now they're losing their jobs if they didn't get a vaccination.
Who do you turn to? That's the thing, and that's where people are struggling. Like, who do you turn to? It's like go to a debate and you hear this person and, oh, yeah. And then the other person, oh yeah. And then, how do you make that decision? I know you don't have the magic wand, but if you become governor, you're going to be faced with these decisions, all right? And where do you get your information from? What's the science in the whole thing?
Sam, I was a businessman before I was mayor and before I went to Congress, and it's always been the same formula for me. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't try to act like you're Albert Einstein, smarter than everyone else on earth. Look at what's working. That's what I study. I go and I read and find out if it's working somewhere, if it's proven somewhere, then it makes the most sense where that has been successful. And states like Florida and Texas and Tennessee, they're already in front of the curve. So a lot of ideas, just look around, read, study, and see what's already working.
That's the trouble I have, Lou, when you're talking about what's already working, and and then when what I'm going to say now, they're going to say, well, Sammy, you're talking politics, but the facts are, if you look at all of the states that are thriving, okay, are with Republican governors. Unfortunately, the states that are suffering are with the Democrat. Now, here again, I'm just presenting fact. Okay,
fact.
I mean, and so you're picking on Biden. I'm not picking on Biden. I'm just saying I pray for the guy every day. I mean that sincerely. But when you want a doctor, you make sure you check that guy out or a girl out from A to Z. You make sure that you're going to get the best. You don't care whether they're white, black, pink, or whatever. You want to make sure you get the best. So when you look at the facts, Why aren't we learning from these states that are doing so well?
We are learning. People are voting with their feet. They're leaving in numbers, large numbers, New York and Pennsylvania and California, and going to Florida. They're literally, look at what's happening in Florida, where people are just picking up from these dictator-run states where politicians think they know better than you. People want their freedom. They want their freedom. They want their government to keep them safe, create a good environment. Let's keep our roads, good roads, and good air, and clean water, and let's try to attract businesses here. But don't make decisions on your freedoms. And people are seeing that, and they're leaving those states, Sam. Those states are lagging behind. If you look at the recovery of states after COVID, the states on the bottom are run by Democrats. The states at the very top are states like I mentioned, Florida, where those governors are giving people their freedom, and people are leaving, and that's where they're going.
Talking to former Congressman Lou Barletta, folks. He's running for governor of the state of Pennsylvania. I want to come back and ask him about some of the promises that were made to the citizens in Pennsylvania and never happened. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks, 24/7, SSPTV.com. All of our shows are there. My guest today is former Congressman Lou Barletta. He's running for governor of the state of Pennsylvania. We've been told many times, the poor seniors, the poor people, we've been told we're going to relieve you of property taxes, we're going to relieve you of school taxes. Seniors who are just about able to make it, they're just about able to pay their bills. Now they get hit with high energy costs. Okay, you're paying $1.20, $1.25. Now you're paying, I just got fuel oil this morning, a big difference in 80 cents a gallon more. Inflation, people didn't enjoy the holidays like they wanted because when they went to the grocery stores, no due respect to them, the prices are through the roof. How many times can the citizens get hammered?
Well, you can't pay people to stay home, and that's why we're seeing inflation the way it is right now. The shelves are bare when you go to the store, and nobody can find workers, so businesses are hurting, and that's a whole nother issue. But Sam, Pennsylvania has the second highest business taxes in the country. We are not business friendly. People are getting crushed with property taxes. They want to see that go away, and politicians make all these promises that they're going to do that. And you just need to ask them, yes, we agree, we got to get rid of property taxes. It's not a good tax. What are you replacing? How do you replace the revenue?
Yes.
And so when somebody makes a campaign promise, just ask, well, how are you going to fix it? We all want to do that. I put an advisory board together, some thought leaders from all around Pennsylvania, who are actually working on policy ideas of how we can eliminate property tax. How do we get corporate taxes down that businesses won't leave? They'll come here to do business. Our regulatory agencies are literally anti-business. In Pennsylvania, DEP stands for Don't Expect Permits. They're not here to help businesses. They're here to cost them money. We got to change all that.
And that's the thing is, how do you change these things? I remember going back with Governor Rendell, when he started with the casinos, this was going to alleviate the property taxes. Am I correct? I mean, it was alleviate this. And so, oh, wow, let's vote for this guy. And then what happens is, maybe things didn't work out the way they should have. Okay, I'm not condemning the person, but we're being lied to. When does this stop?
Well, it seems like every election season it comes up again.
Yes.
And people just hope that this time somebody means it.
So why Lou Barletta? Why should I put my faith in Lou Barletta, to be the governor of the state of Pennsylvania?
Well, you don't have to guess what I'll do tomorrow. Just look what I did yesterday. I was named Pennsylvania Mayor of the Year for the work I did as mayor of Hazleton. I was picked by the White House to serve on a United Nations advisory board for local governments, the only mayor representing America. I was given the Governor's Award for Fiscal Accountability. I have a track record of doing what I say I'm going to do. People saw me on a national stage when I fought the illegal immigration problem. And I never backed down, Sam. It didn't matter. I stood for the people that I represent. So you're not going to have to guess what I'll do. You'll have a fighter who will stand for the people. I've always been that way, and nothing will change.
You have a number of candidates that are, pursuing to to be the governor, and I'm sure they're all nice people. Okay, what do you have to say to people in terms of what of all these candidates?
Well, you're looking to try to hire somebody to run the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and I think you should have that kind of experience. And I did both as a businessman, building a business from nothing with my wife to the 6th largest in the country. Mayor of Hazleton for 11 years, as I've said, been recognized for my work there, went on to Congress and had success there as well. I've run statewide. I have statewide name ID. I have experience, been vetted. They've checked my background. There's no bones left in my closet.
You sure?
Well, I ran against Paul Kanjorski and Bob Casey. They're two tough characters to run against. And so I have all that experience behind me, and I can govern. That's the most important thing. Democrats have supported me, again, the districts that I've won, the elections that I've won. So I think I'm the most qualified and have the best experience to guide Pennsylvania.
Well, I wish you and I wish everyone the best of luck, and I applaud anyone who's running for office today. It's a challenge. My friends, former Congressman Lou Barletta, my guest, he is running for governor, and I'm sure we'll have him on a couple more times before the primary. But whatever you do, please review all of the candidates who are running, see what the best candidate is for you. It's a challenge, trying to go through the press and trying to separate and really find out what is the truth. It's a difficult task. We'll see you next time.